What's shaking, everybody? What's going on? It is another Brand Doctor live stream with your man, Henry Kaminski Jr. and Owais Qureshi in the house. What's going on, Owais?
How are you, man? How was your weekend? How are you freezing out there?
Seriously, right? Awful. You know, which I spent a lot of time on social media this weekend. So hence why the topic of today's conversation, which is what would you do if your social media content wasn't working? I really want to explore this because I think there's a lot of people out there struggling with their social media presence, their social media strategy, the content that they're putting out, which is leading to loss of followers, no engagement, and it's like crickets for them. So I had a team member take a peek at today's theme, and he was like, can you and Owais do a role play to the best of your ability to highlight this problem and to share with all of us how you would help somebody navigate through a content marketing problem? What I also want to encourage is everybody that's watching live to drop your questions in the comments, and we will field as many as we can while we're still here live with you. So let's dive in. Owais, you'll play the small business owner who's been struggling with social media content for a while now. You're starting to see some fatigue set in, and you're looking for some answers. And then I will play the brand doctor and try to help you through navigating what could be the potential issue and try to get you some help. Fair?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. So, Owais, I hear that you're struggling with your social media content. Tell me more about this.
You know, struggling is an understatement, Henry. I mean, I post up, I try to post on a daily basis. You know, I've tried posting up just generalized statements about what branding is, and I've gone deeper into it, talked about some client issues. I've even posted up memes of horses. It's just not catching that.
Memes of horses?
Horses and cats and dogs. I mean, just whatever comes to mind, man. I mean, you know, the latest stuff that shows up on my feeds, I'll even repost that just to see if anything catches. And I will say this, you know, I mean, it's like it's not relevant. It's not like that's going to get me customers, but and I have said this to you in the past that, you know, that I posted up I posted a lipstick on a pig just to illustrate a meme about something that was happening that week, and that got more views than any of my other posts. And that's just really frustrating.
What's that tell you? What's that tell you? If you zoomed out,
people want to be entertained.
That's one. So let me ask you for a second. What exactly? Who is your ideal client?
So for me, my ideal client is a B2B business owner that's been in business for at least 5 years, is generating about anywhere from $1 to $20 million in revenue. And they're entering into a new stage in their business where they now need a formalized brand. And they, up till now, they've just been working with the bare necessities, with their bare bones. And now they have additional people that are a part of their team, and they need to be able to deliver a consistent message that is consistent through and through with their marketing team, with their sales team, with anyone, with even the business owners. They're going out there and generating awareness for their brand, and it needs to be delivered with conviction and confidence.
Okay. What do you think their biggest fear of loss is? And it could be multiple things.
I think ultimately their biggest fear of loss is no longer being able to, or not being able to generate the business that they want to generate. Just like you asked me about the ideal clients that I have or that I want, that is the first thing that comes to mind when I talk to them. So they're telling me that who our ideal clients were at the beginning are not necessarily the same type of clients that we want. Their ticket size may have gone up, obviously different situations, whatever it might be. They just want a much larger pie, or they're just working with larger volume.
Got it. And would you say that your content right now reflects those fears?
Yes.
They do. All right. How so?
Yeah. Well, so I always try to connect that from what my services are to the end result in their business. And the end result in their business, the way that I define it, is their business performance, is the way that their business increases value over time if they're looking to either exit the company and sell it, or they're wanting to just continue to increase its size. So whatever that looks like, I always try to connect it to that. And then I ask them, what's keeping you from achieving that?
And this is every
How
post.
do I fit into this?
Not every
post, but the story comes in from various angles. The story can come in, as a matter of fact, I texted you something yesterday, and that was pertaining to a story from an M&A perspective, from a perspective of setting up your company for a specific sale, or someone's invested into your company. Well, how are you going to be able to pay back that investor? And then afterwards, how are you going to be able to pocket the rest of the money? Right? Everyone's interested in your company with a specific reason, and that's for them to be able to, again, gain value out of it. So I went in, and then again, I concluded that conversation by saying, well, how do I fit in? How is it that you're going to be able to achieve this? And their final response to me was, well, that's where we need your help. So if I can get them to conclude that every single time, that's my angle. So I mean, so one of the other posts was around key employees. Why is that important? Same thing. Well, if your employees aren't happy, if your employees haven't bought into your brand, well, are they really aligned towards a common vision? And if they're not aligned towards a common vision, well, are they being productive enough to be able to fulfill whatever promises you've kept with your clients? What does that do to the overall reputation of your company? And what does that do to new customers that are considering your company to work with your company? Right?
So it sounds like
your reputation.
Yeah, it sounds like you really have a pulse on who it is that you're speaking to. So my question is, why do you think you're not getting the engagement and the followership and that on your social?
That's a good question. That's what I'm trying to really unwrap right now and unravel. Again, is it because it's just not sticking? Is it too complex for people to understand? That could also be it. That, yes, I'm looking at it from all different angles of your business and how that impacts your reputation. Right? I think the train of thought is might be good, but maybe I'm overcomplicating the message.
Well,
is that a possibility? I don't know.
It could be. I mean, when I look at your content, because I've done a little digging, when I look at your content, it's very hard for me to differentiate you from these business coaches out there. And you do a hell of a lot more than coach. You have a whole design staff, you have a whole branding development arm that I feel gets lost in translation because I don't really see a lot of that on your social. I see a lot of business problems that you address, but I don't see the actual design work. And if you're a design agency, you know, maybe people are coming to your content going, what exactly does this guy do again? Right? So this is a tightrope. This is a tightrope that you got to walk, because now imagine you're holding the bar, right? One side of the bar is addressing problems and challenges of that ideal client, right? The other one is showcasing what it is that you exactly do to help solve those problems, right? So it's a tightrope. It's a balance. It can't just be all business problem conversation. I want to see the tactical stuff. I want to see some of the tangible stuff that you do.
Okay.
That's number one. So when I come to your LinkedIn, when I come to your Instagram, within 3 seconds of scrolling your grid or your feed, I'm going to know, okay, he's a designer that helps brands go from, 20 million to 40 million, or helps brands go from, elementary to executive or premium, or they're stuck in that holding pattern of what typical business owners get stuck in years 1 to 5.
Exactly.
And they're trying to bust out, right? I need to know within 3 seconds that you can help them with that.
Or the way that I define it is adolescent to adult.
Perfect. Right? So let me ask you this, and I don't want to get too far off this conversation of social media content, because it's very, very important. But like, after what's the layer underneath your social media content? Where are people going to learn more about you? Let's go there.
Well, before I dive into that, I think you hit something that I have been overlooking. Yes, we'll put out our end design out there. What ends up, like what is the ultimate product? Mm-hmm. But the process behind it is something I will admit to that I have been overlooking, not showing how we get there. And I think that's something that will illustrate to many people that, okay, well, look, yes, there's a lot of thinking involved on the back end. There's there's this entire strategy that occurs in order for this guy or for his team to help us resolve many of these issues that he's discussing, whether it be, around generating business performance, whether it be around getting the right client, whether it be around getting the right people to come work for us. So I think that is addressed not necessarily just by the post, but also it looks like it's something that I should be really addressing through demonstrating my process.
That's part of it. How do you entertain through that process? Right? How do you entertain through that process? How do you educate through that process?
Yeah.
It's not a one size fits all. This is where your personality needs to come out a little bit. I think that'll help a lot differentiate you from everyone else that does what you do. Right? I'll give you a quick example. Yesterday, I put out a time-lapse video of me putting together the thumbnail design for this particular live stream. Right? And I said, I'm whipping this up with my morning espresso, and I put the little Italian Marron hand. Right? Like, people know that's my style. That's the way I speak. That's my tone. That's the way that I am in real life. Right? So it showed that personality right away, first line of the post. Right. So that's that. I think one of the biggest things that hold people back on their social media content marketing strategy is underestimating how important the back end of it is. Right. And where you're leading people to, and then what that experience looks like. I'll give you a quick example. I was just speaking with with a brand assessment client. Client came through with brand assessment, and she wanted to know what she can do with her podcast to help her get more leads. Right. And I said, well, where are they going to go after the podcast? what does that look like? Is there a landing page? Is there a call to action to book a call? And then what does that call look like? Right? What can that person expect on the call? What are the reasons to believe that that call is going to help them solve that problem that your clients are looking for? And she says, none of that's built yet. So I said, we can help you get more views, more subscribers, more engagement, more follow, like all of that. But you're going to fill up, right? And then all those people are just going to get stuck in a holding pattern because you got nowhere to take.
Exactly.
And I think subconsciously that messes with us as content creators or people or businesses that are trying to create content, because we know deep down that we don't know where we're taking them. So that inhibits us from really putting out the message that we want. This may sound a little woo-woo, but I've seen it.
No, you have a good point. You have a good point.
Massive LinkedIn followings where these people are like chomping at the bit to get to this person's program, but they don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
I thought you were gonna...
to answer your question from, I mean, of course, I'll throw in a call to action and either direct them to my website or just say, hey, reach out to me if you're a B2B business owner, or if you own a B2B company that's ready to propel to the next stage with a world-class brand, book a call with me. So that's as far, that's as far as the funnel is going to go until they book a call with me. And then, of course, we're going through a very similar sort of a setup as yours, which is the brand assessment, where I'm trying to figure out if it's even, if I'm even the right person to help them.
Right.
So with all that said, is there a series of systems set up that tracks and monitors and measures the customer journey from one piece of the funnel to the next, or one stage of the funnel to the next? No, there is. No, absolutely. I'm saying for me, it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. To answer your question from earlier, no, there's not.
That's what we need to start to think about. Yeah, because you're at that level where people are going to start coming out of the woodwork looking for you. Bob Bonio says CRM, so important. Exactly. That's the radar screen. Exactly. It's tracking the blips. It's tracking the blips. So that's something that we got to think about. Now, let's think about this for a second. Different types of social media posts could be used for different outcomes. So I'll give you a quick example, the way we use social media. So I have different pillars, obviously, coming up with pillar content, right, for the clients that I want to serve. But for example, my wife always used to bust my chops. She says, why do you put those reels out there, those Instagram reels, where it's like, a dog dancing? And I go, that's a reel. Reels are very popular right now on the Instagram platform. And the platform is really encouraging people to do more of them, right? So what I do is I don't like to record my own reels, so I'll go and look for something really funny and I'll repost it, but I'll put a caption over top of it that brings it back to branding, brings it back to design, brings it back to what I do. And I'll put that out there. One, because I want to evoke emotion. I want to get people to laugh. I feel like if I could get somebody to laugh, they're going to remember me, right? That's just me. That's my personal belief, right? I want to get them to laugh, but I also want to, that's not the right word. I want to leverage the algorithm of Instagram. I know that the Instagram reels are being shown to much more people than an average post. So how can I leverage reels? So reels, any kind of reel that I post, that is helping me with reach. Okay. The next post I put, maybe it's a static image of a quote that people that I want to serve resonates with. Right. So I'm going to bring in an influx of eyeballs using that reel. Maybe look at reels as like chum fishermen put in the water to attract sharks. Right. And then after that reel, I'm going to put together a piece of content that's going to showcase my work. So all of that new interest, yeah, they're coming for the reel because it's entertaining them. But if they dig deeper into my content, they're going to see what I actually do. I'm teeing up my credibility, my authority, my expertise on the next post. So I'm strategically, and you use the word intent, I'm intentionally posting certain posts at certain times to bring everybody full circle. Once they come full circle, then I bring them down. Right? So I'm kind of walking them around the perimeter of what I do, getting them comfortable with me. And then eventually I tell them, listen, if you want to learn more, you got to come down the chute.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I lead them to my masterclass, or I lead them to my assessment. And then when they get there, I clearly articulate what they can expect from each one of those, which will help them understand, okay, I have reason to believe that if I make this investment in this assessment, I'm going to get help. Or if I go down his free masterclass and enroll in that, I'm going to get a real good understanding of who Henry is, how he helps people. And by the end of the masterclass, I'll know whether or not he's for me. And that's absolutely free. Right? So, but being very intentional with the types of posts are really going to help you build that trust and build that system. I don't know, maybe vortex is kind of the word I was thinking out loud, but like you have to have some sort of system on your social media content where each post is doing a different job. It's the long-winded way of saying it. But each post has to have a purpose. You know, behind the scenes stuff is going to showcase my transparency, right?
Yeah.
The meme, you know, the meme reel, if you will, is going to catch them at the tippy top of the, you know, the people that don't even know who I am, right? They're gonna be like, oh, who's this clown, right? But then as they come down and learn more about what I do, they're like, oh, this is what he does. So I think that's why people get stuck on social media, is because either they're putting out a bunch of top level content, like the reels that I was explaining, and yeah, they're bringing attention to their pages, but they're not bringing them down into a sales conversation. So all these people are just stuck in this holding pattern. And then eventually they're like, all right, I'm bored. I'm going to go somewhere else. Right? And then what happens is they go to your competitor, but here's the difference. Your competitor is doing this with their content. See my hands? They're bringing them down into the conversation that needs to be had to make a transaction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
each post has to bring them down that spiral.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I think the direction that you're at least putting me in, and probably the rest of the audience, seems like when we build out our content pillars, we should also attach, what do we want it to do?
Yes.
What do we want that content pillar to do, or what do we want that specific content piece to do?
Exactly.
Is it just to educate? Is it to entertain? Is it to whatever it is. Again, yes, we can have all these different topics, but then also have a separate pillar around, discussing your process, discussing your knowledge, discussing actual challenges with specific clients.
Mm-hmm.
So all those shared challenges. Then, of course, have something around the entertainment aspect of it.
Exactly.
As
and
you're
I think
evoking those emotions.
right. And I think you could poke fun. You could be as playful as you want with it. And I encourage you guys to be very playful with your content, because that's why your pig with the lipstick is getting so much love, is because you got playful with it.
Yeah.
Right. Excuse me. I laugh all the time because I say, I can't constantly put out that type of content, because you don't want to become the class clown.
The class clown. That's exactly what was coming to mind.
Right? You become the class clown, and then like it's going to be really hard to take you serious, and you start to friend zone your audience. Your audience starts to friend zone you. Mm-hmm. And that's a horrible place to be.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't get out of the friend zone, but it's tough. You can, but it's tough. It's tough. So those are some of the things you have to think about. And on Wednesday, we could talk about, some specifics on the different types of content you could be putting out and where you could be putting out those pieces of content. The sky's the limit. What I would recommend, I'm not going to get too far into this conversation, but I would recommend 1 to 2 platforms max that to get really good at. And then when you have some momentum like I do, and you have a system in place, that's when you can really create that omnipresence. Like I can get on 7 platforms in about 4 minutes of time. So when you see me post on Instagram, I'm right after that, I'm posting on all the other channels. It takes me about 4 minutes. And the reason why I don't use that software to kind of post everything at the same time, the same way, is because how I talk on Instagram is very different than how I talk on LinkedIn. Some of the stuff is congruent. Some of the stuff is similar, but I'm not going to be talking about stories on LinkedIn. Right? I'm not going to be talking about carousels on LinkedIn, even though they're getting popular on LinkedIn. But so I manually do it, but it's so quick for me because I have the momentum, I have the speed, I have the bandwidth to do it.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're
just the system, if you already have the system in place where you're preparing ahead of time, I think that makes a huge difference as well. It's huge. That's why it's down to 4 minutes.
Yeah. It's going to take practice.
Yeah.
Unless you have a team, you just hire a team and they do all the posting for you.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of holes in that.
Yeah.
Because
and I'll be honest, Henry, with even when hiring a team, here's the setback when you hire a team: garbage in, garbage out. All right?
Yeah.
So you have to take accountability. I can't say this enough, that as the business owner, if you're leading a team, if you're hiring a team, whatever that looks like, you still have to set up that system. You still have to help them set up those systems, set the expectations, and then is this going to be consistent with the voice that you're trying to project?
Bingo.
Big.
Bingo. It's huge. It's huge. I'm going to start getting a little bit more, what's the word, animated with my posts, because I really want my voice to be different in the design space. And you could see it, you'll start to see more of that in the future as I post more design-based content. right? Because I was getting lumped with the online marketers and the business coaches and all of that too. People were like, what exactly do you do again? Oh, you're a designer. You run a design company, but you help other people with this and that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. So you're like the whole package. Yeah. I'm not just a designer. You know, we create that functionality that's going to get you paid. Right? Some people just design, which is great. We need all the designers we can get. But then the buck stops there. You got to go figure out who's going to now help you turn that design into cash. Well, we do that. Right? We do that. And that's the big differentiator there. I want to see some of these online coaches design me a landing page, a funnel, a website, and a brand identity system like we do. Ain't gonna happen.
No.
It's not gonna happen, right? So there's, again, I could go another 2 hours on this topic, but I think that's where we're gonna stop. We'll finish. We'll pick up the conversation on Wednesday on what can we actually start to think about. Maybe we'll build out a content pillar for
that might
you.
be fun. Yeah,
right.
That might be fun.
And then we'll explain what exactly goes into those pillars, what types of posts, right? And help people start making their content work for them in a very intentional manner. It's not just, I got to get a post out today because Gary V told me I got to post 3 times a day. And, you know, I'm down a post. So I just got to get something. No, I'd rather you not post at all than to post with that mindset. That's it. Your content marketing strategy is probably one of your best plays to help you organically get the types of clients that are willing and able to pay you a premium for your service. So we'll play around with that on Wednesday, but thanks for being a guinea pig.
Happy to play along, man.
So guys, folks that are watching live, folks that are watching the replay, what was your biggest takeaway out of today's conversation? Would love to learn more about what you got out of this conversation, where you might be struggling if you're willing to share that, so that we can create more content in the future to help address some of those things. That's really, really helpful. And then if you're watching you know, on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell notification. Again, we come live every Monday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on multiple channels. So if you're catching us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, thanks for tuning in. And we will see you on Wednesday.